All right, folks. Could not cover some of these stories that are going on. Calling my segment, we need to stand up to these bullies. This has been a crazy few days. We had a great news talk last night, covered a lot of stories. I tried to squeeze in a few things, and wouldn't you know it, there's still more things as I check my own notes, go through things, and this stuff is nuts. And, I made a little video last week about how I felt, trying to communicate the stuff, and having a president talk about things that are not freedom is insane to me. So I just want to just hop right in. Tell me what you think. Feel free. You can like, share, subscribe, do all those things. Any of those are welcome. And I got to be honest, if you wanted to hop right in with me, I'd probably let you. You can convey your thoughts. This is nuts. And let me jump right to this first story. This is a video that I saw, and I don't know. Oh, it's still from my son. My son calls them FUDs. I'm not sure he counts as a FUD. But Jacob would have to tell me if he's old enough to be a FUD. So this is a man. He has a button on, and it says, "I'm vaccinated." They're in a Target, and hopefully you can hear this. Let me make sure I shared this properly. Let me do that again so that I can make sure that I hit it just right, because, I'm not particularly going to pretend that I know how to do it right. Okay, yes, that's share the audio. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this, because I really want you to be able to get the full effect of this craziness. Let me see. That's probably about the biggest I can make it, I think. So let's see. All right, so let me get to this video. Like I said, the setup you got, he's going to confront this lady.
Immunity of threat, but
Really? You're vaccinated?
yes, I am.
Oh, you are? Because I already have natural immunity.
Yeah.
You're not going to follow me around in the store and point at me to people, so I will video you.
So we have a state regulation that.
And it's not law. You're an idiot.
Yeah. Oh. So you're going to insult me now? So my wife is a.
All right. Let's pause right there. Right. So he just starts following her around. He has a button on that says, "I'm vaccinated." She says, "I have natural immunity," meaning that she's had COVID. Now, let me ask you the question. Who is a risk to him? He is vaccinated. He's got a button. He's so proud of his vaccination. He's virtue signaling to the world, "I'm vaccinated." Who is a threat to him, right? He's taken the vaccine. So she doesn't have a mask on. Even if she has COVID, the vaccine's worked. He's as safe as he can be. He might get COVID, right? There's a chance that he could get COVID. And because he's been vaccinated, statistically, it's showing he would have less symptoms and minimal chance of it being fatal. If she has already had natural immunity or been vaccinated, she has a minimal chance, obviously the same as his statistically, to even get COVID, and even a lesser chance to be carrying COVID to get him infected. So when you start to run all this, she's not near him when this video started. Notice that. Notice that when let me show you. Like he has to walk towards her to be close enough for this conversation to escalate, right? So you can see when we start, he's at the end of this row right here. You can see the way the carpet is in Target. So if we figure he's at least, a foot and a half, 2 feet away from the edge. And then as the video moves, he's moving forward. So when they cut back, all right, so now look, now notice he's walked 5, 6, 7 feet. He's still going.
So my wife is
following her. Someone's saying, "Leave her alone," right? Good on you, lady.
Yeah, leave her alone. Here.
Oh, is she?
So he's basically lecturing her that sorry, let me just make sure I got this. He's claiming his wife is an infectious disease doctor, and therefore he knows so much because of her knowledge that it warrants. Look how close he gets to her. Look at this. So Mr. I'm vaccinated, she's a threat, so he's following and stalking her. Stalking is probably not fair because that's a legal term now, right? Harassing her in this store about her not having a mask on, right? Let's continue.
We're alone. You got your mask on. You're safe. I'm sure you're vaccinated too.
He has a.
So that was a lady that was in between saying, "Leave her alone." So good on you, lady that walked by. Kudos to you.
badge that says it.
I do. So my wife is a doctor who specializes in infectious.
He pulled the Ben Shapiro. My wife is a doctor. Isn't that cool? I'm so proud of him. He's so virtuous. I mean, isn't it great that he can tout his wife's claim to fame? Let's make this bigger for you.
Disease.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, do you think that she just doesn't know what she's talking about?
It's her choice. It's her choice. Just leave her alone.
No, there's a store requirement and a state requirement. It's not her choice.
Store requirement, state requirement. He's been vaccinated. Look at him pointing at her. Look at that. Public shame her. Those other people, those others.
You can't harass her.
And there's another person coming through. Stop harassing her.
Come together.
You're not
And
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to
shamed.
harass people.
And make sure that people are shamed when you're
He
with
was
He's not even denying that she said that. Hang on. Make sure, listen to what she says.
That people are shamed when you're with me.
he was
When they
following me.
put the
So he's saying that, so the other person says, you're not even shopping. You're just going around harassing people. He doesn't deny it. Let's hear that again.
and make sure that people are shamed when you're with me.
He was
When they
following me.
put the
I'm sorry. I know I keep playing it over again. I got to go back further. I want to make sure we get this part because this is crazy if this is true.
What are
all
you
of
even
our
in here
job as a
for?
community to come
What are you in here for?
together.
You're not
and
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to
shamed.
harass.
Come together.
You're not
And
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to.
shamed.
Harass her.
It's
What are you
all of
even
our
in here
job
for?
as a community to come together.
It's all of our job as a community to come together.
You're not
And
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to
shamed.
harass people.
And make sure that people are shamed when you're with me.
He was
When
following me.
Making sure people are what? Hang on.
they need to come together.
You're not
And
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to
shamed.
harass people.
And make sure that people are shamed when you're with me.
He was
When
following
they
me.
put the
He
rest
won't
of
leave
us
me
at
alone.
risk.
I think he's admitting that he says it's like his responsibility to make sure they're shamed if they're putting everyone at risk. I apologize, folks. I can't make it any louder. So you tell me if you've seen a different clip and you can make that out. He may be admitting that he thinks it's his job to publicly shame her.
I know, and he has a badge on. Stop following me.
No, he said it again, so you can hear him in the background there. It's really faint. I apologize. There's no way to make I have the volume maxed out. And he says, it is my job. You can hear him still talk. There's still like back talk and cross talk. It's hard to make out.
We've already had it here, so like I'm not doing that. By publicly shaming me?
The public venue. Yeah, you're making a bad decision.
Okay, so she calls him out that you're public shaming me. And he says, yeah, you're making a bad decision. So the term, okay, this was funny because this story was covered on another site and they called him a male Karen. Male Karens really don't have a name. I'm not quite sure what they're called. I know that I've heard Ken, Greg, and Kevin. So the male Karen, pick your term. I like Greg. I don't know. What do you guys think? Jerry? What do you guys think? Anyway, yeah, he public shames her, admits that he thinks of it as his job to follow and harass this lady for not wearing a mask in a Target. No one at Target came up to her. The other customer pointed out that you're not even shopping. What are you doing? It's the responsibility of the community to come together for people to do the right thing. So
You're a bad American.
now she's a bad American. There you have it. You're a bad American. Now this appears to be store security right here, making sure it doesn't get out of control. This poor guy, look at this poor fella. He does not, look at that body language. He's like, I do not want to be involved. I don't understand why he's just not on the phone with the cop. Don't they have a mobile phone? Just be on the phone with the cops? That's what I would be. If I was running a store at Target, I'm not saying you need to have security, but you have a phone, they need to be there. And be like, deal with people like this. So I don't even first care that if you don't agree with me, don't you agree that we shouldn't create disruption like this? Don't you think that it's probably not safe for anyone, including that man, to confront this woman? What if her husband is somewhere else in the store? Because you come up on my wife like this, and we're going to have a problem. You come up on my son's wife, and I guarantee you're going to have a problem. So let me tell you right now, this is not a good scene. And we do not need to tolerate this kind of bully crap. This needs to stop. So everyone involved, all these customers, they've tried to be nice. These are mostly ladies. Sorry about this guy. He should have intervened, but his body language is telling you he does not want to get involved with Ken, Greg, Kevin, whatever male Karen nickname we're coming up with here. This guy thinks it's his responsibility to shame people. This is crazy. All right, let's keep going.
I totally am. And I
Yes.
voted for Trump.
Yeah, you're a bad person.
I voted for Trump. You're a bad person. Someone else is cheering for voting for Trump. This video is just classic. I cannot believe this. This is incredible. It's showing you two Americas. How this was a theme when we talked last night on News Talk. Was how do you get two groups to keep living together and side by side? How do we get these two Americas to live side by side? Because you have California and Texas mentality. Texas mentality is I'm going to do what I want to do. It's my state. California is I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm also going to harass you to do what I think you should do. And this has never been more on display than it is right now during the pandemic. And this video illustrates all of it because this is crazy. This guy thinks that he needs to organize the community, public shame this woman shopping in Target, even though Target didn't say anything to her. He even kind of, I think he passively admitted that he wasn't shopping. I don't know. I'm not quite sure on that. See what else
You're
to
a bad
say.
person for
He's
doing
not
it.
a bad person.
You're a bad
My
person
mom
for
was
doing
vaccinated
this.
and still ended up in the hospital with COVID. It's her choice.
Yeah, well, it's very, very unusual.
It's not unusual. I just had somebody die.
So he's admitting like even vaccinated people, it's very unusual they can get it. Yeah, right. We know, right? She said she had natural immunity, which means she probably had COVID. And actually, there's statistics that show she may actually have better immunity than you, buddy.
Doctors specialize in infectious disease. Are you saying she just makes this stuff up?
Now we're back to the whole "my wife is a doctor" thing. He pulled the Ben Shapiro card.
Probably.
She has a choice and you have a choice.
Oh, here's another customer standing up for her. You have a choice, and you have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Well, maybe that's kind of part of what we're talking about.
The state has a policy. You're putting the community at risk.
You're being harassing.
You're putting the community at risk. There's no need for her to put people at risk. It's hard to hear him. I'm sorry, there's a lot of crosstalk.
Further from the building. Yes, I am.
So another customer is yelling from across the store to the videos as we're watching this to the left. They're looking to the left because someone else yells, "Are you vaccinated?" He says yes, and they yell back, "Then you're not at risk." And he's still going.
Well, you don't know about that.
This
You
is
don't know about that.
He even has
Come on, this is America.
a badge on that says it. He's been following me around the store.
He has a badge on that says it, and he's been following me around. So now it's like, it's beyond creepy.
Are you serious? Yes.
They're like, "Is this serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, he is serious. He's been following me through the store." Because remember where they were. They were on the other side of the store. He started walking down the aisle after her. Then they came around towards grocery. The conversation continued. This has been going on straight. There's not been any edits in this video for over 2 minutes.
He's been very supportive. I know.
We're having a talk about it.
Yeah, that was this video. This is crazy. So you haven't seen this. It was a little tricky to find. I can try to put a link in the description when this posts. Let's see. He has an "I'm vaccinated" badge on, harassing this woman in Target. All right, so my message is real clear. How does two Americas stay together, coexist together, get along together when part of the country feels like I can't let you make decisions for yourself, right? He's vaccinated. She even said, "I have natural immunity." She had COVID. Other people are saying, "Well, you're already vaccinated." Who's a threat to him to the point where he needs to take it upon himself, follow a woman in a public store while she's shopping and harass her about what she's doing? That's where we've gotten to. And enough is enough. Shame on this security guard who didn't do anything to secure her. Like, no offense, this guy. My son likes to use the term soy boy. He's got a little soy. He may not be filled to the brim, but he's got a little dose because he sure didn't do much for this poor lady to let Greg here harass her like this. And I say it's enough. We have to stop. This has to stop. So that's my theme. Enough with the bullying. It needs to stop. We need to say enough is enough and say, no, we're not doing this. Okay. let's make sure I got the right story. Yeah, okay. All right. Meanwhile, American Airlines removes a family from a flight for an unmasked toddler. Okay, absolutely true. Notice the byline has more information. Amanda Pendarvis, I apologize if I said your name wrong, ma'am. Her son is having an asthma attack because they're forcing this 2-year-old to wear a mask. He can't breathe and he's having a problem, right? So I'm not sure the video. I won't even deal with the video yet. No, that's not the one I want to share. Hold on 1 second. I apologize. Let me switch videos. The other one has a better video. So it is this one. 2-year-old on a plane with mom. They have a mask mandate. 2-year-old can't keep the mask on. And then when he has the mask on, okay, he can't breathe. Can't breathe, right? Now, excuse me. Sorry. She also has said in this story, she provided a negative COVID test. So you have a 2-year-old, asthmatic, not easily or willing to wear a mask because he's 2. And statistically, 2-year-olds are not getting COVID, not at risk of COVID, not at risk of carrying COVID. They're not really part of this whole thing, right? Statistically, this is not a thing. This is insane. We keep letting this go. I'm going to double check the statistics while I set up some of this story. Yeah, let me get the death totals and stuff while we're doing that, so you know what we're talking about. Okay, let's play this video. It says, I was not refusing a mask, nor did I even say I wouldn't try to keep my mask on my son. So she's sitting there. Can you hear this child? Cough, 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 wheeze, cry, cough, cough, cry. He got on the intercom, so this is the flight attendant, to say that the entire plane, I'm sorry for the delay, but we're dealing with a non-compliant traveler. You know what? Ma'am, I'm sorry. I think you should start a GoFundMe and we'll pay for your flight to get home. You should have got up and told American Airlines to go pound sand and go get another ticket to get home. And we'll figure out how to pay for your ticket. The fact that they would shame you to a whole plane over your 2-year-old that has asthma, you provided a negative COVID test. These people are disgusting, right? There's not a lot of airlines to choose from. And as far as I know, you guys aren't making a whole lot of money and you aren't doing particularly great right now. Probably not in your best interest, American Airlines. That's absolutely insane. Gosh, I hate the way it shares these screens and I can't make that get big. Let me try this here. Let's do this. That's better. It's at least better. Not good, but it's better. All right, here we go. Okay. So, all right, so you guys are caught up. He's publicly shaming them. The child's still crying. Poor little fella. All right, so we have a cut and an edit. They've been deplaned. They've been asked to remove from the plane. There she is with him. He's got his little stuffed animal, walking around without a mask. Thank you for your bravery. Carl on flight AA 1284 really took a stance and got this monster off the plane. Ha ha. Like they're mocking the insanity of the flight attendant. I assume his name is Carl, and he was on this American Airlines flight 1284. So I'm just going to read into that what they mean. This was off the post. So this is her trying to put the mask on him.
near his face.
He can't breathe. He can't breathe. But that's what we're doing. We're harassing people over their 2-year-olds not being able to fly when they provide a negative COVID test. This child is 2 years old. 2. That's what we did, American Airlines. You're despicable. Shame on you people. You are authoritarian nut jobs behaving like this. There's not an ounce of common sense. Like, listen, man, what can we do to help you? There's no evidence. No one has refuted anything that they did anything to show that that's what they did. None whatsoever. Like, this is absolutely just insane. We have to stop and say no to these bullies and say we're not doing this anymore. And I tell it like, man, I stand by my stance. You should have gotten that when this person went on the intercom right here in this part of the video and shamed you to the whole plane to say, I'm sorry about our delay. We're dealing with a non-compliant traveler. We were talking about a 2-year-old who has asthma, a negative COVID test because he can't keep his mask on because he's barely breathing. Shame on you, not the child and not this family. This is insane. How do we keep things together? How do we keep our country held together when this is the division? We have one side that can say, no, I don't care what you want to do. You have to do what I say you have to do. It doesn't matter if you're safe. It doesn't matter if I'm safe, because the vaccines don't matter if you're allowed to just claim that everyone is still just a risk. Like if you've had the vaccine, you've done the best that you can do. If the person you're talking to has had the vaccine, like, this is just insane. Like, we've gotten to statistics that don't even make sense anymore. I'm trying to pull up the totals here. It's taking forever. Okay, so this is the 2020/2021 CDC website, ages 0 to 17, deaths from COVID, 439. 439. That's it. Now, there's 56,000 total deaths in that age group. So it is not even a percent of the mortality in that age group would be from COVID. I mean, we're talking about minuscule numbers. 439. Now, no one wants 439 kids to die. And obviously there needs to be, the medical attention needs to be done on finding out there's an underlying health problem or something else that actually happened to explain the situation, making sure that we're doing our part to minimize that from happening. And again, I want to share the screen. I want you to see what I'm seeing, because I don't want you to think this is just some random thing or that I'm pulling out. This is not. This is the screen. All right, let's get it big. About as big as I can get it, I suppose. Don't know for sure. Let's see if I can get it a little bit bigger. I don't know. It gets tricky trying to change the fonts. Right? Yeah. See, it gets all weird when you change its font. So, yeah, there you go. 439. Okay. What do we do? How do we hold things together when it's okay to follow and harass someone in a target? It's okay to throw someone off the airplane for their asthmatic 2-year-old that's not at risk and doesn't pose a risk. He has a negative COVID test. He's asthmatic, can't keep his mask on. When we are allowing these companies and we're doing this, we're behaving this, how do we hold things together? That was the theme we had on our show last night. These are brand new stories that are echoing the exact same stuff again and again and again. I really have even worse news for you, because the California recall happened, and I'm not talking about the California recall per se, but I want to talk about some of the polling information. They found out that exit polls. I want to show you some of the data, because some of this was a little crazy. Some of this was, I actually thought it was really crazy. I got to be honest. I was like, what? They asked basically about the issues. That's what an exit poll does, right? And people are extrapolating their opinion on what this means, why people would have kept Gavin Newsom. I don't think it's really that big a deal. I think it was easy to see that they're going to keep Gavin Newsom around. I don't think that's really even a shock that he was kept. What is a little shocking is some of the things that people said were a priority in their decision making and the whys. Because I'm not sure there's a way to reconcile that. Like, how do you get that Texas? I said the Texas and the Florida mentality a little bit versus the California mentality, right? The Texas mentality is we're going to do what we're going to do. Florida's even more assertive because we've been open. I'm here in Florida. We've been open since basically like May of last year. We're being demonized in the press as though it's like a hellscape of COVID. And yesterday, 3 people died. And the day before, 3 people died. Are there 10,000 new cases? Yes, there are. And that's horrible. We're doing everything we can, but we have a maximized element of freedom that goes with that. And, I'm not sure what you want us to do. You locked down California. You literally locked down, destroyed your state's economy. You've lost massive numbers of small businesses. You destroyed the concept of individual freedom and some of those things. And you have more deaths than Florida does. So why am I listening to you? Why are we supposed to take advice from California? Like, I understand there's a population ratio here. So I think that California has a better death per million ratio. But this isn't over, obviously. This is the exit poll. CNN has it. So this is not some right-wing Fox News conspiracy. And it talks about the different statistics. Only 45% describe them as Democrats. 1/4 describe themselves as Republicans. 3 in 10 said they're independent. So it's not evenly split, but it's about what you would kind of expect. Most of them, 57%, approved of Newsom's job performance. And then, let's see, 1/3 had a favorable review of the Republican Party. So it's pretty similar to the way they would identify themselves. And then it goes down through the presidential stuff a little bit. But I want to get down here. It says, COVID-19 pandemic remained at the top of voters' minds, and 1/3 saying it is the biggest issue for the state. 1/5 said homelessness. So there's a 1/5 of the people who didn't say that. And it goes through the economy, wildfires, and all of that. And then I want to get to the pandemic's course. Only 40% say it's getting better. 3 in 10 say it's about the same, and 1/4 says it's getting worse. And then, yeah, here we go. Less than half of the electorate, 47%, said that Newsom's policy in the pandemic had been about right. So nearly half the people are content with California and the decisions that they made. They are number 1 in death toll, massive loss of civil liberties and freedoms, massive loss of small businesses in California, and half these people are okay with all of that, right? I know, ads. I can't keep up with it popping up. Only 3 in 10 say that it was too strict, saying the shutdowns and all of that was, so you have 47% and then 30% say too strict. The remainder say not strict enough. Now notice, making sure I read this right. Okay. So the remainder say they're not strict enough. So you have roughly 77% that liked California's policies or wanted more shutdown or stricter COVID policies. 77%. Now, 2/3 of the yes voters on Newsom's policy were too strict. Most no voters said about right. 1/4 of all recall opponents said stricter. So that kind of aligns. But think about that. You have roughly a quarter of Californians saying that the lockdowns and what California did in handling this pandemic was not strict enough. California don't think that they did enough by locking their state down, the way they destroyed small business and all the things that Newsom did. You have almost a quarter that says, oh, it's not enough. We wanted more. We wanted more. I don't know what more is. Maybe longer, right? And you factor in the 40% that thinks he did fine. So that's California. So the theme is this. How do we say no to the bullies to say, no, we want to run our lives. We want to run our states the way we want. California, you run it the way you want. Because the problem right now is the California people won't let everyone else alone. They won't leave you to live as you want to. You have to comply with whatever standards they have. A woman is harassed and followed for over 2 minutes through a Target, ignoring other people telling him to leave her alone. My doctor is a wife. I'm vaccinated. I'm virtue signaling with my little button. So therefore, I'm allowed to lecture this woman about what she's doing in a store that's not saying anything to her. American Airlines is allowed to publicly shame a woman to say, well, the whole flight's delayed because we have this non-compliant passenger who is a 2-year-old with asthma, not keeping his mask on, who gave you a negative COVID test. This is insane. How do we keep this together? How do we keep this together? When we can't figure out a way to tell the bullies no, they're going to keep punching you in the face. We have to say enough is enough. It doesn't make sense. We know it doesn't make sense. If you still want to go way overboard, that's fine, right? There's people that go way overboard with other elements of their life. They don't want to assume any type of risk in that particular category. Maybe it's the way they drive or where they drive. They don't travel. They don't eat certain kind of foods. They don't smoke. They don't drink. That's fine. Everyone does individual risk assessment. The mortality rate overall is 1%. The mortality rate for like 50 and under is way less than 1%. And for that poor 2-year-old, it is minuscule. The overall mortality is minuscule. It's like maybe 1% of all deaths in 0 to 17 age group is COVID. Like it's less than 1%. It's like 1 in 1,000. So that's how small it was. This is insane. How does it all stay together? And the answer is, I'm not sure I know. I'd be curious what you think. Maybe you have comments. I had my little video and prompted some conversation with some folks, and I know that we're not going to agree, but I'm okay with agreeing to disagree because I think you have to find a balance of freedom and liberty, and that doesn't appear to be the priority for most folks. Safety and control is more important than your freedom and liberty. And my question, I'll close with this. Let me ask you, when does that end? When does that end? Do you think the vaccine mandate, do you think allowing this man in Target to harass this lady, do you think an airline kicking this 2-year-old and his family off the airplane, and do you think, nearly a quarter of Californians thinking that all of that is not enough, we're not strict enough, is that the end? Is that the end of how far they'll go to control and make you feel safe? Is that the point where they'll say, no, that we're good now. We're good. That made it work. We're good. Do you really think that? Do you really think that? You think that they're going to stop? You think that they do that for this situation? They use your employers. They've deputized your employers to tell you that if you haven't gotten the vaccine, you have to. If you've had COVID and not the vaccine, you have to. And you've scared all the vaccinated people to think that anyone that's not in your group is a threat to you, that it's worthy that the president can force your employer to make something happen where they inject something in your body that most of them are not FDA approved. Just chew on that. That's the end. We're going to let it happen this one time. They'll never do that again, or they'll never do worse. They'll never ask for more. That's what we're going to say. You're fooling yourself. you're fooling yourself. This game has changed in a week on an exponential level that can't even be put into words. The examples I give you are just a couple, because we could do 6 more and talk for another hour. That's how many of these things there are. I can't even keep up. I go through these notes and the edits from last night's show. We end up running for almost 2 hours of footage between the time I talked and we did it with the guys. This is crazy. I don't know how to hold all of this together. I hear terms like peaceful divorce and all that. But I'm telling you what, if this doesn't get under control and we start telling these people you cannot harass people, shame people, and treat people this way, people will lash out. They're not going to behave well. You've locked some of these people in their house for over a year. Some of them are not mentally stable right now. We have mental illness statistics. We have suicide attempts. We have drug use, alcohol use that is skyrocketed some of the statistics. That should scare you about who you're going up to. I'm not talking about just the lady in that scenario. He's a crazy person, because who's to say he's not going to get himself hurt? You're just going to harass some lady. What if he followed her out of the store? Like, fortunately, the video appears to be all that happened, but that is crazy. Crazy. We've made people crazy, and they're getting crazier. Anyway, that was my take, and I know I ran a little long. Some videos. Love your thoughts. bjonespops@gmail. You can send me an email, story ideas, suggestions, and obviously you can use the B Jones Pops if you want to contribute to the whole Cash App thing that they're doing to see if I'm going to become a COVID marshal for Australia, because Australia is even crazier. We could talk about Australia for another hour. That's how much nonsense is happening there. So thanks for your time. Have a good one. God bless.